All right, YouTube, this is going to be a raw, uncut, unedited video straight from the heart. And I like doing these videos because this is what my channel was originally all about, was just wholesale real estate, self-improvement, and just life in general. And so this video is going to hit close to home, right? So I want this to really impact the people who have been watching me, or the people that are attracted to my channel, the people who relate to me the most. So first, let me give this context of, ever since I started my YouTube channel, it's always been about, self-improvement and things like that. But coming from nothing, like coming from the shitty background that I had, right? Drugs, jail, toxic relationships, toxic friendships, just a toxic individual, degenerate, all that. And then I, closed my first wholesale deal, but I changed my life around completely. And I'm 29 years old right now. I just turned 29 this September 2025. And I have two brothers, two younger brothers. I'm the oldest of four in total. So I have two younger brothers and a youngest sister. Well, the my brothers are 27 right now, and then 26, and then my sister's 22, I believe, 21 or 22. And well, my brother next to me, the 27-year-old, he is in prison right now. Well, yeah, he was in jail, then he just got shipped to either another jail or a prison. Pretty sure it's a prison. Anyways, it's very, very rough over there. People getting stabbed in the face every single day. And, he's facing like 20 years in there. And as he's in there, he's having these realizations of like he's hitting his rock bottom, right? I hit my rock bottom when I was 24 years old. I was 23. I turned 24 in jail. And that's when I just had the realization that I can't do this anymore. And that was the first time that I decided to take control of my life. And so my brother, he's in jail right now, and he's seeing people get stabbed in the fucking face over some ramen noodles and shit. And he's like, yo, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. Like, or I'm not about this, or he's about that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, he realizes that I don't want to be in jail. He said something very profound. He was like, there is nothing that anybody could ever do once I get out of here. Nothing anybody could ever tell me or do to me that could make me come back to jail. And that was the first time that I ever realized like he really meant it, and it was a step towards taking control of his life. And so that's the main reason of also why I started this YouTube channel, and why I make these videos is to talk to other people who have been through situations like me, my brother, my family, having a toxic household. I came from a broken home. My parents are divorced, and just a lot of drama, baggage, and just generational curses. And so what I want to talk about in this video is the things that I never got taught as a kid growing up, right? My dad never taught me these things. I'm the oldest, so I never had an older sibling. That's like one of the number one things that, drives me and pushes me. But also one of my biggest maybe insecurities or weaknesses is that I don't have anybody to look up to, or I never had anybody to look up to. And, at 25 years old, I had to become that person that I look up to. I had to make up this person, as David Goggins would say. He says, like, there's David Goggins and then there's Goggins, right? David Goggins is a 300 pounds milkshake cockroach spraying bitch. And then David Goggins is the hardest motherfucker on the planet. You feel me? And those are just same thing. There's a coward version of you, and there's a honorable, heroic version of you. And every single day we got to kill off that coward version. Well, I want to go over a few main principles. This is in no particular order, but one of the first things that I never had anybody teach me was how to have your own shit, right? One of the main things that my brother was just talking about, is like when he gets out of jail, what clothes is he gonna have? Same thing with me. When I first got out of jail, right? And I had to move back in with my mom. My teeth were missing, bro. I was still a degenerate, but I made a committed decision to change. And I didn't have any clothes when I got out of jail. I had like 2 pair of clothes, but I made a decision like, hey, I'm gonna build my own wardrobe. I'm gonna start paying for my own clothes. So before, it was like my mom would always buy me clothes, or like I would borrow my friends' clothes and then like never give them back or whatever, things like that. or I would be stealing clothes and stuff like that. And so I made a conscious decision. One, I'm not going to go back to jail, so I'm not going to steal anything, and I'm not going to ask anybody for anything, because I want to become independent. And so the first step in becoming independent is having your own shit and actually taking care of it, working for it, earning it, and buying it yourself, and then slowly building it over time, right? First, it was one shirt, then another shirt, then a pair of pants, maybe then a pair of joggers. Then you start buying yourself socks, underwear. It's crazy. It sounds crazy, but yeah, I grew up, like I said, in a broken home, and my mom was a bit of an enabler, and I was always a degenerate. So she would always buy me the things that I needed, like toilet paper, shampoo, soap, things like that. But as you know, I grew up and I decided to take control of my life. You got to start buying yourself those things, right? And let me pause for a second and go back to who this video is for. My channel has always been about coming from nothing and, making money for free from Zillow for sale by owner and things like that. And so, I always offer coaching, for those people, and I do make it affordable. But when you talk about making money with no money, you're going to attract people who have no money. So this is for y'all, the people who can't afford coaching, the people who know that they want to change, but they don't know how to start. Maybe you still have a limiting mindset. You still don't see the value in investing in yourself. Maybe you're still stuck in a 9 to 5. Maybe you still are going through those toxic relationships. Maybe you're still, trying to do the shadow work. You're trying to just learn how to be consistent. You're learning how to be disciplined. You're learning how to wake up every day. You're learning how to make yourself proud. You're figuring things out about yourself, and you never had anybody to show you that. Yeah, you had no guidance, no real good guidance to show you how to do that. This video is for you. This is for, the 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 16, it doesn't matter, all the way up to 40, doesn't matter. These are the things that I learned as 29 years old right now, I was 25 when I got out of jail, or 24 when I got out of jail, turned 25 the next year. And these are the things that I wish my dad would have taught me growing up. And these are a lot of the things that I learned on my own. Broke, living with my mom, nothing to my name, no clothes, missing my front teeth, to, over 400 grand this year in wholesale real estate. Got the crib, got the house. Obviously, you could tell this is my shit. And, a wardrobe. I have all the clothes that I ever wanted, when I was younger. Started collecting a certain clothing brand that, I always admired. So I have all that, all the laptop, everything, business, whatever, the YouTube, everything. I worked for it over time, but it started with me being broke and nothing to my name. And I had nothing but a committed decision to change and to be better. And I had a vision of who I wanted to become. And so this is how you start that. How to become a man. Things that I learned, getting your own shit. That's rule number one. Start buying your own shampoo, deodorant, clothes. You have to build up your own wardrobe. Okay, and here's the next thing. I had to make sure that when I'm building this wardrobe, I was intentional about it. So really the first couple of clothes that I bought, it was like collared shirts. It was like, khaki pants or like dress pants, some dress shoes. I bought my first pair of Chelsea boots. I remember after I got out of jail, that was the first time I bought Chelsea boots. So be intentional, right? You have to make a decision to take control of your life. Who do you want to be? I had a vision of like this businessman I wanted to be, right? Before, I was a degenerate. I was, smoking weed, drinking every single day, going out every single day. And there was a certain attire that I would always have on. It's usually t-shirts, jeans. I still wear t-shirts and jeans, but I look like a bum, didn't smell good, didn't, really take care of my hygiene, my hair, beard, all that, none of that. So taking care of how you look and being intentional about your wardrobe and having your own shit. That's like the first thing. And then another thing is that I didn't get the big things that I really wanted until I was ready. And by this, I mean like a car. Like once I got a car, I remember my first vehicle that I bought after I got out of jail. It was a 2008 Chevy Silverado. It was blue, kind of beat up. And I made a YouTube video about it. You guys could see it on here. But, I earned every single dime of that truck. And if I had a truck or a vehicle before I earned that money, I wouldn't have had the truck, or I wouldn't be where I'm at. Like, I had to grow, like, to be able to become the person who could handle the responsibility of having a vehicle, right? Because if I was still a degenerate, and I didn't work for it, and I didn't earn it, and it was given to me, well, then I probably would have treated it like I treated everything else in my past, and wouldn't have taken good care of it or used it to its full potential. So I went without a car. I went without everything, without clothes. I didn't go out. I deleted social media eventually. And I was just intentional about building my own shit, getting my own shit. And then I made sure, and I was wise enough to, like, hey, let's not go for the big shit until we're ready. Right. Not that I mean, the truck it came out to like $9,000. It's not like I had that much money anyways, but still, I got it when I was ready. And then same thing, I was still living with my mom. When I got out of jail, bro, I was living with my mom for 2 years before I finally moved out. And I tried to move out one time. You could see it on my YouTube channel, like the first time that I tried to take cold showers in the morning. Um, you could tell, like, I tried to move out, but it didn't work out. It was like kind of moving out halfway, didn't really fully move out. But I was living in my mom's house, and yeah, every single second of it was emasculating, right? Because I lived in a house full of women. So it was my mom, my sister-in-law, my niece. We had two dogs, both of them were girls. Everybody was a girl in the house. And then I was broke, and I was coming back from being a crackhead, you know? So none of them really respected me. I lived in a house full of girls, and none of them really respected me. And as a man, like, that's super emasculating, and that messes with your pride and your emotions and things. And so another big thing is like humility, or I guess where real masculinity comes from, I guess is a better way to put it. Um like, living in a house full of girls, you have to understand, like, the emotions that go on in the house, how girls act, and like how to interact with them, right? So at first, before I decided to change my life around, I was always arguing, always yelling, always screaming, toxic, bah, 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 making big deals out of like the smallest things. And when I got out of jail and I decided to take control of my life, well, another one of the first things I decided to take control of was my emotions. And I would realize that naturally, just out throughout the day, you know, arguing was like a way of life in my household. So I had to learn how to recognize it and decide not to engage in it, decide not to interact. So I learned how to not argue, and learning how to be humble and suck it up when they don't give me what I want. So there'd be times where I had to go to work, and I would need a ride to work, right? Because I just got out of jail. I don't know like, I'm not an entrepreneur yet. So I'm just trying to go to work to make some money, because all I want to do is just be productive. I wanted to be a better person. Hopefully I don't forget that lesson, but that's a huge lesson, is focus on being the person and not the outcome. And then the outcome will come if you just become that person. But there would be times that I wanted my sister or my mom or my sister-in-law, somebody. Like, how emasculating do you feel if, like, you're begging your little sister to bring you to work? And like, if you don't go to work, you're gonna get fired, and you don't have any money to catch a Uber, and work is like 30 minutes away. It's like, a little bit you feel like you need them, but it was in those times that I had to say, no, this is my life. I don't depend on my little sister to bring me to work. I don't depend on even if the context and the situation seemed like I needed them to bring me to work. I had to make a decision within myself. I don't need you. I love you, and I appreciate you. You're an amazing sister, and I'm not mad at you. But this is my life. And if you don't want to give me a ride to work, that's okay. I still appreciate it, and I love you. And it's like having that detachment, and like not letting my emotions and selfishness and my delusion of entitlement uh, deter me from making the right decisions that I know I should make, that lead to accountability. It may hurt in the moment, right? It sucks being like, okay, thank you. Like, not arguing. They say, no, I don't feel like it. Because there would be times where I needed a ride to work, and they'd be like, no, No, I'm busy. And I would know that they're not busy. They'd be on the couch. They've been on the couch all day watching TV, scrolling on their phone, right? Cars outside, perfectly fine. They have nowhere to go, nowhere to be. And I'm like, hey, can you bring me to work? No, no, I don't feel like it. It's like in those times, like when irritation spikes, you have to know how to control it. And so that's the first thing. Learning how to be humble in those situations and take accountability. This is my life. I'm going to find a way to work. And look, if I get fired, then I get fired, but I'm going to make this work. If the job gets on me because I was late, that's fine, right? Like in those moments of high stress, right? You're broke, right? Because keep in mind, I was at my mom's house for 2 years before I moved out. And even after I moved out, I was still broke. Broke as a joke. But my mindset was different. I was prepared. So yeah, in those moments of taking accountability, like when people don't give you your way or people don't get your way, it's just like you learn how to be calm. Life is going to throw you all these high pressure situations. Everybody's talking like, hey, where's the money? Like, are you going to get a job? Da, 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 da. Or nobody wants to give you a job, a ride to work. And everybody's arguing. People are arguing already about some other stuff. And then you're late. And then your boss is getting on you because you're late. And then like you're something else just happened and all this other stuff. And it's like, in these high stress situations, how do you manage yourself? How do you act? Do you react or do you respond? Do you choose how you respond? Do you react quick, like, or do you respond in a calm, masculine manner? That was the first thing. Learning how to get your own shit, right? And then learning how to control your emotions and not argue, and learning how to just operate and take accountability for your life and not blame other people because you don't have a ride to work, right? I could be mad at my sister because she's not giving me a ride to work because she's not doing anything and she's just being lazy and I need a ride to work because I'm trying to change my life around. I could be mad about it, or I could realize, okay, I'm changing my life around. I'm starting with nothing. How can I get to work? Like, that's it. It's on you. As soon as you bring somebody else in the picture, are you going to hold them accountable to something that you should do? No. I'm going to be like, okay, what do? I have nothing. I have no car. So how do I expect to get to work? Let's figure it out. Let's try to see, what do I have? Oh, I have a family that has a car. So I stopped going from like blaming them for not helping me to being like, oh my gosh, I have a family and they have a car and they love me. I'm so grateful. This is so awesome. I have resources. This is great. You feel me? My entire perspective on life changed. But let's get into that next point that I said. The next thing that I focused on was like becoming a certain person instead of like chasing the money. Money was at the top of my mind. Like I knew I needed more money. I'm not dumb. Like I know I need money. And like there were times that I obsessed over money, but more than that, I always knew from the beginning, like it is more important to become the person who always has money rather than chasing money, right? If you focus on becoming the person, like certain things come with being a person, you know? So if you're a businessman, then you run a business, and businesses, if they do good, generally make a lot of money. So be a good businessman who knows how to run a good business and you'll make good money. And so every single day I was brainwashing myself. I was always watching business videos, even general vague business videos on YouTube, watching that, watching style videos. I was always watching like looks maxing videos, things like that, like Kevin Samuels, there's Austin Dunham, there's uh FitX Fearless, things like that. I'd be watching like these dating coaches or just like self-improvement coaches, really just men coaches, and focusing on my look. So got a derma roller, you know. I'm digressing a lot, but no, I'm not actually. I'm not digressing. I was focusing on becoming this man. And in my vision of this guy, he had a beard, he was jacked, he had money, he had a nice car. He had a girl, like a woman, and she was a baddie. And like I was envisioning this person, like physically, what does he look like? What does he sound like? What does he do? Does he wear jewelry? Does he wear watches? I started, buying watches. Yeah, but yeah, I brought a derma roller, minoxidil, started spraying for my beard, growing that out. I wanted gauges. I just decided that I wanted gauges. I just wanted something different. So I just got gauges and just did it. Started wearing dress shoes, like I said, dress pants, collared shirts. I got my first blazer. things like that. Man, I gotta get an editor for my videos who does a really good job, because there's a bunch of videos and pictures that I could throw up here to reference. But um, focusing on the becoming the person, and so that would go from looks, the way I dressed, but also the way I talked and the way I talked to myself. I never said I was trying to wholesale real estate. I always said I was a wholesaler. Actually, I didn't even say that. I said I was an investor. I always told myself that I was a real estate investor. Um, and then also going into like where did I want to be? So I knew I wanted to move out of my mom's house. So every single day I would look up apartments. I would look up where I want to be at. I would look at these other areas. I would look up videos of lifestyles of people who have apartments, and then I would watch other videos of people saying their experience of what it was like moving out. I would watch videos like this, literally videos like this, of people telling their experience of moving out and shit like that. And I just started identifying every single day, identifying with someone who is that person who already moved out. What are they doing? What is their life like? Another thing I couldn't wrap my head around was paying rent. I just couldn't understand how people paid rent and survived, because I was always broke. I had to save for months to get $1,000. And so it just never, I just couldn't calculate in my brain how somebody was able to pay rent. Like, you're paying how much a month? $500 a month? I make that. I make $400 a month. Like, so, and I don't keep any of it, and I'm still broke. I don't pay any rent right now, and I'm still broke. So that's something that I knew I had to overcome, but also I knew that it was just a mindset. Like Tony Robbins talks about, like, we don't raise to the level of our expectations. We fall to the the lowest version of ourselves that we're willing to accept, aka our standards. And so I knew that if I just had a standard of like paying the bill every month, like, that would become the new normal for me. I would get used to it. So, but yeah, that was one thing. I was like, how are y'all paying, like, how much? 500 a month? Y'all are paying what? 1,000 a month? 1,000? Man, that's like 12,000 a year. If I had $12,000 right now, blah, 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 blah. And so that was another thing, but I just kept identifying. And now, you know, I was paying $1,900 base rent in Dallas, Texas in my apartment. Like, you just get used to it. It just becomes a new standard. So it's about raising your standard, identifying with people who have standards who are higher than you. Look at those people, study those people. What are they doing? And just imitate them. What does their daily life look like? What does their morning routine look like? Okay, another big, huge lesson is, and I made plenty of videos on this, but difficulty. You have to have voluntary difficulty. If you're a man and you're broke and you're living with your mom or a family member, and you don't even have a car and you don't have a vehicle, here's the harsh truth. Here's the harsh reality. You have to put yourself through voluntary suffering in order to be a man. Point blank, period. You have to do that before you move out. You have to do that before you start making money. You have to do that before you get a car. You have to voluntarily, on your own will, on your own accord, not by anybody else's influence or not by anybody else's instructions. You have to choose to voluntarily do something that fucking sucks. You have to, and you get to pick whatever it is. Whatever it is, you get to pick. That's the beauty of it. But the ugly truth is, it has to be something you don't like. It has to be something that's hard and difficult. And you have to get to the point of exhaustion, and you have to do it over a long enough period of time so that you know how to deal with difficulty. This is something that my dad never taught me. I never had an older brother, an older sibling. My mom never taught me this. As a man, you have to learn how to deal with hard times. You have to learn how to deal with difficulty and stress and bullshit. How do you do that? How do you choose a voluntary thing to do? Well, for me, what I did, you don't have to do this, but I promise you it'll change your life forever. You have to get used to doing hard things that fucking suck that you don't want to do. What I did was I would wake up at 4 a.m. I would jog 1 mile, come back. I would do an intense ab workout, about 50 pull-ups and 100 push-ups. Then I would take an ice cold shower. And I did that every single fucking day. Every single day, I think, since the day that I decided to do it, which was like it was December 2021, I think, is when I decided to do the cold showers at 4 a.m. and stuff. And every day, every fucking day, bro, until I moved out. And then guess what happened when I moved out? I kept waking up at 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, and I did an intense routine, and I was training every single day. And and if you don't have a reason, or if you think that that's hard or whatever, yeah, good. It is hard. It's a different side of life that most people don't get to experience. Being up at 4 in the morning when it's dark and jogging and doing something hard, it's a side of life. It's like a different dimension. That side of life is what builds you as a man, and it builds your character. You have to when there's no other reason other than you have to get better. Wake up voluntarily and do something that you really, really don't want to do. And yeah, I still do that. I try to practice that every day. Ever since I made a bunch of money and I got really comfortable, you know, it's not as easy, right? Versus back then, I had a lot of fire and a lot of drive to just not be a fucking brokey, and to not be a degenerate, and to not be 30 years old living with my mom. I was just so determined to not be 30 years old living with my mom, dude. Sometimes that's all you need. It just depends. Everybody has different limits, but you have to learn how to do hard things on your own when nobody's looking, and you don't tell anybody about it. You don't brag about it. You just do some hard shit. So yeah, I'd say pick your own thing, whether that's going out, working to the gym, but I wouldn't even say going to the gym. Fuck the gym. It's not hard enough. Work out at home. That's nobody wants to do that. Work out at home. Work like it just builds something in you when you go to that place, that mental space alone. David Goggins talks about it a lot, but a lot of people talk about it because it's a reality of the world. It's like you go into doing things that you hate. It's a side of life that very few people are willing to go down. But yeah, and I'd say, I guess, to top it off, to actually moving out, you don't wait till you're ready to move out, bro. I didn't move because I thought I was ready. I moved because I just had to fucking go. I had to change. And it was a do or die mentality. I left my house. I saved up 5 months rent in advance. So that was like 5 grand. And that was it, bro. That was it. And I had like maybe 2 grand in my bank account, or like $2,500. So I think all in all, to move out, I spent about $7,500, $5,000 or 4,000, $4 or $5,000 to pay for 5 months rent in advance. Probably five. It was like 900, and then I had $2,500 for food, and I said I got to make money before the rent runs out. That was it. I didn't have a fucking plan. Uh, the plan was to do wholesale real estate and keep going ham every single day, max effort, 120% effort until it works. So if you think that you're fucking waiting and you're saving up to move out, like, bro, just fucking move out. But when you move out, don't move out in your city somewhere. Move out to a different state. Move anywhere. You could go out the country if you want to, but go somewhere where you know nobody. That's the number one rule when you move out. You can't know anybody. You can't live close to the city or town that you live in. You can't have friends out there. Nothing. And that's another thing about moving out, bro. I remember, I'll never forget this moment of when I moved out to Houston. I'd been in my room, locked myself in a room for that entire time. I never left that room, never left, nothing. And then my car broke down, right? I came out there with a car, and like 2 weeks later, it broke down. So I was in my room every single day. Well, Christmas came around, and I can't remember. Yeah, Christmas came around. I closed one wholesale deal, $5,000, like right before Christmas. And I wasn't doing anything for Christmas, nothing. I was staying there, wasn't going home or anything. I was locked in. But since I closed that deal, it had been 3 months of me making no money. I was like, you know what? Let me do something social just for my mind, just literally. So I went to like some salsa classes. I just signed up for some random salsa classes, and I just took an Uber there. And while I was taking that Uber to those salsa classes, it dawned on me that I'm in a different, I was 3.5 months in, and it just dawned on me as I was driving, looking at the city lights, driving over Houston. I was just like, bro, I'm out here by myself. Like, I'm literally out here by myself. And I got here on my own. And it just hit me like, I could go anywhere. I could go anywhere in the world. I'll just never forget that feeling. I've never had that feeling before in my life. But it was just a feeling of like, I'm in this world by myself on my own. And like, there is no barriers, there is no limits. Like anything could happen and I could go anywhere and I could do anything. And it was just it was like empowering, but it was like scary, but it was also exciting. I don't know how else to describe it, but I didn't have that feeling till it was like 3.5 months in. I was in Houston because I didn't go anywhere. I was just locked in the room. But like once I took that Uber ride to those salsa classes, it was like a 40-minute drive. Yeah, I had that feeling. So when you go out, bro, you need that realization that nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to help you. Nobody's going to be here to hand you anything. No handouts. It's all on you. You decide where you want to go, where you want to live, how you want to dress, who you want to be, who you want to talk to, how much money you want to make, what car you drive. Like you literally get to decide all of that. And you have to be willing to go through the slow, humiliating process of changing who you are. That's embarrassing, changing who you are. Like I was a rapper, bro. I was a rapper. I had music videos on YouTube and everything. Like I had clout. I was doing dumb shit on the internet for like views, like a fucking idiot. But it was embarrassing to say that's not who I am anymore. It was embarrassing because it's like you put all these years into that identity and then you're actually being like, no, I don't do that anymore. I quit. I stopped being that person. I'm not that person anymore. Right. It was empowering because like it was a do or die moment. Like I have to change, but still there's that feeling of embarrassment of like all those years, you have to admit you were a dumbass. Like you have to admit everything you were doing was fucking retarded. At least for me, it was retarded and yeah, it was dumb and degenerate and you were hurt, like, but we're not doing those things anymore. We're giving up on that person. We're not that person anymore. We're going to be a new person. Yeah, bro. So you're never going to be ready to move out. Just fucking move out. If you have 5 months rent, like figure out whatever the rent is, wherever you want to go, fucking pay it and figure it out. You got 5 months to figure it out and it's on you. Like that's my advice. I think that's the best thing that you could do for anybody. I feel like the further or the less you come from, the more resilient you become, right? You become way better. So when you get to my level, like if you come from worse than what I come from, when you get to where I'm at, you're going to be way better than me. You feel me? Because you went through more to get here. And so don't ever feel like because you're starting way back or something like that, it's a setback or it's the reason like you can't be great or something. Like anybody could do anything, bro. Like I said, I was broke, living with my mom, 1 or 2 outfits, fucking degenerate, no job. And now I make 400 grand, over 400 grand this year. And like, I'm trying to do $1 million next year. I used to dream of this, but it all starts with taking accountability, starting to buy your own shit, taking control of your emotions, learning how to not argue with people. And if you live with your mom, you live in a household with your family, you cannot go out and build a life until you get that shit under control. It doesn't matter if they're toxic. Can you operate in that household? If you can't, well, then there's a holdback and you're not going to be that resilient. First, learn how to operate. If you're in a toxic household or a broken home, learn how to operate there as best as you can, if you can, right? Unless you're getting abused or something, but operate in there. Learn how to not argue with them and learn how to focus on you and be a better version of you, and to not let them get under your skin, and to show them what being an excellent human looks like, or being having a high standard looks like. There were plenty of times when my family would fucking hate on me and like, just be like, you're doing too much. And it was up to me to be mature enough to not let that bother me and just understand like they're saying that because they're staying the same. When people say you've changed, it's because they don't know how to say you've grown. So I had to learn how to outgrow people in my own household. That was very awkward, right? But then they become proud of you. And then you move out and you're too big for us. But then they get over that. It's different phases that you have to go through. But in order to really get to where you want to go, if you're trying to get to where I'm at, bro, it starts with just self-accountability. Change your perception on life. Everything is an opportunity. The biggest quote, this is a good way to end the video, but the biggest quote that changed my life, one of the biggest quotes is, life is happening for you, not to you. Life is never happening for you. It's always happening to you. And I still have some quotes from jail. Let me just show y'all. I probably showed this in some other YouTube videos, but let me show y'all this. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, but that one says that new life you want so bad is going to require you to let go of the old one completely. And then the next one says, I don't know if y'all can see that. Don't fear failure, fear being in the exact same place next year as you are today. And then the next one says, a fresh start isn't a new place, it's a mindset. And so I wanted to share those because I had those since I was in jail. Literally, when I was in jail and I decided to change my life around, I told my mom, don't send me any more commissary. Don't buy any more food or snacks for me. Don't give me any more of that bullshit. And I decided I'm not going to smoke the mojo in the jail. I'm not going to smoke the cigarettes in the jail. I'm going to change. And I told my mom, only send me, books, motivational books and motivational quotes. And those are 3 quotes that I always had with me to this day. So those were with me in jail. And now they're with me here, living the life that I've always wanted to live and the life that I prayed for. The life that I prayed for so many times. There were so many humiliating moments that I lived with my mom that I had to learn how to suck up my feelings, suck up my emotions, and then learn how to direct them and channel them into the hard work that was going to lead to the future that I knew I was building. And so that's the most important thing, is just learning how to channel your energy, taking all the energy and all the bad shit that happened to you in your life and direct it solely like a magnifying glass in the sun, direct it into working hard, into your dreams, into becoming a better version of you. And those 3 quotes mean everything to me. That life that you want so bad, it's going to require you to let go of that old one completely. I had to kill off the old me. I had to cut off and disable the Instagram forever, like completely delete it. And don't fear failure. Nothing you can do is gonna get any worse. As long as you just don't do that life, it's okay to fail in this direction. Go start a business and fucking fail. Know what it feels like to start a business and fail. Welcome to the group. Welcome to this side of life, right? This is what improvement, progress feels like. Go fail. Don't fear failure. Fear staying the same. And so every single year I made sure, bro, I always made sure that I'm not going to be in the same place, as I was last year. And it's been like that ever fucking since. Everything goes up. And yeah, a fresh start isn't a new place, it's a mindset. So I had to keep that in mind when I was living with my mom for those 2 years. I said that this is different. How hard is it? How hard do you think it's going to be when today, let's say today, you decide to change your life around forever? But everything around you is the same. You still live in the same house. You still live with the same people. You still got the same issues, still got the same bills, still broke, still look the same, still ugly, still hit, still got addiction, still got problems, still got vices. How hard is it to continue to choose to voluntarily do something difficult every single day when everything stays the same? How difficult do you think it is to work extremely harder than you've ever worked in your entire life towards something that you don't even know is going to work out? When everything else is just the same. It's hard, bro. So, but a fresh start, a new start, that new person, when I got out of jail, that new person began. He was born that moment that I decided to change. And every day I just had to make a decision to give that person life. Make a decision that helps improve that person and not the old person. So it's not a new place, it's a new mindset, right? You have to change up here first, put in the work physically, and then eventually your reality will change. I hope you guys got some value out of this. I know that this was all over the place. Literally, this is my ADHD brain just ranting, but it's straight from the heart. And I'm speaking to those of you who don't have money for a mentor, don't have the money to invest $5,000 into some system, software, program, course, whatever. It starts with you. No course is going to do the work for you. Once you become the person and you start making the money, well, then yeah, to become a millionaire, you have to become a person who invests in themselves. And you do have to start paying for courses and coaches and things like that, but they're not going to do the work for you. Pay for the coach, pay for the course, go all in, utilize the coach, use him for what you paid him for. And you have to go all in. You have to add the value to your life, right? If you got any value out of this, make sure to share this to someone else who you think might also get some value out of it, right? Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying to drop weekly videos about self-improvement, wholesale real estate, and just life in general. Stay consistent.